Billion-dollar infertility industry has a lot of y'all thinking that your eggs are locked inside this magical ovary. It can only be affected by your past and the number of birthday candles on your cake. Now, they might believe if you do certain things that you can improve your fertility, but they're really hard pressed on this whole narrative of age and the fertility cliff. I was watching this podcast, and the first 20 minutes were these highly educated women doctors who were just stating the facts that women's health just has been grossly under researched and studied. And then the fertility expert came on, and she just, she's so articulate, and she's just saying the science and holding this blue graph of this line that dramatically drops, and we have to freeze our eggs. It's just so important. And I'm like, how do they know that? If we've been so understudied, how do they know that? So I got curious. And to my best ability, with the resources that I have on the internet, this is what I pieced together. So most of us have heard about the psychologist, Dr. Jean. She wrote a book. She has an article talking about how 1979, a scientist put together a paper, Patterns of Fertility at Later Ages of Reproduction. Well, a lot of his information came from birth records from France, some kind of church, from 1670 to 1830. I think there was kind of some correlation to what was being studied during that time as well, because in my research, I found that between 1950 and the late 70s, early 80s, around 325 ovaries were collected. Now, these ovaries were collected from either women who were deceased, fetuses that were deceased, and women who needed hysterectomies. So in the 1980s, researchers put that together, and that's where this dramatic fertility cliff came from, right? 325 ovaries. We have no background. We don't know their lifestyle. We don't know their genetics. We don't know any of that, okay? But I don't know if we need that for science, right? I'm not sure. It wasn't until 2010 that some other researchers, scientists, took all those other studies and put them into a single mathematical model, and they published it, the human reproduction. So that paper from 2010, with all the science that was collected from 1950 to the 1980s. Remember, women's health has not been researched, but remember, we have proof that age dramatically is the number one factor in your fertility. Okay, so let's just keep all those in mind. But that's the official fertility model. It's still referenced by doctors, clinics, the media. Now, if you have any other information that would be supportive to this fertility cliff narrative, please send it my way. I'm here for the truth, not for a narrative. But this is the best that I could come up with. So let's just say that is just hard science. It can't change. And we go from 1 million eggs to 10,000 around the age of 35. Now, I understand the body is a healing machine. It cleanses itself out. So if we're starting with 1 million cells in an ovary this big, I can understand why there's such a dramatic, let's clean this shit up, okay? Get it. I'm common sense. But let's just safely say I couldn't find any studies that they were looking at cellular health, the mitochondria of the egg. Not how many were in the ovaries, the quality inside the ovaries. As of right now, 2010, there's safe to say there's no studies, okay? So IVF is invented 40 so years ago. So let's say we'll give them grace, 50 years that they've been in this study. And so they're going to come up with markers. We need markers to, really make this ethical, to get women on the right treatment, right drug regimes, and see where they're at. So yeah, we need markers. I understand that. AMH gets discovered in the 1990s. In the early 2000s, IVF clinics were really using this marker. See how ovarian response during IVF. So most of the research, AMH cliff too, right? Most of that is done from IVF clinics. So before I say this, I did IVF. I have an IVF baby. I have nothing against IVF, but here's the harsh reality. Let's exclude the women who have physical issues, genetic issues, and the men too, right? But most of us are walking in there with low AMHs, low egg quality, a diagnosis, unexplained, endo, PCOS, cellular health issues. Okay, because if we really bring science back to the basics of what it is, your whole body is comprised of cells. Inside those cells is your mitochondria, your powerhouse. If you have low mitochondria health, lots of oxidative stress, your functions are off. Your body doesn't need fertility to survive. It will switch it off. It's the first thing it will get rid of to keep the rest of you actually functioning and alive. Okay, so AMH 2010, it is like the headlining number. Obviously, they use other numbers, but AMH is a bit of a funny one because what the doctors might have not told you, because maybe they don't know, they don't care, or they stick their heads in the sand, I don't care which one, your AMH fluctuates. It can literally fluctuate the same month. It's a representation of cellular health. So if you boost your cellular health, your AMH will go up. If you keep continuing to be stressed out, have a crappy diet, yourself to toxins, all the things, you're going to lower that cellular health. Therefore, your numbers that are not set in stone, that are dynamic and will fluctuate month to month, they can rise. Also, when you're doing that, you can improve your egg quality. And just that's where their narrative gets sticky. And this is where we need to bring in a little bit more common sense and just understand that there's been one study that happened this year, very small study, but proving that the mitochondria in the cell doesn't dramatically decline. We have to remember their research isn't about the mitochondria. It's not about the cellular health. It's about the number of cells inside the ovaries. Two different things. So the real power lies if you repair your cellular environment, you can dramatically increase your chances of success, whether that be naturally or using IVF. Now, if you didn't know this information before, you did IVF on their recommendation, and now you cannot afford another round of IVF, look, the time is going to pass anyways. There's no harm of taking 6 months to 12 months to really look in and investigate, what do I need to do to change the situation and boost my cellular health on a physical, mental, and energetic level? Your mindset, your subconscious beliefs, your energy, your cells, your physical body. It's doable at any age. But yes, there is a subsection of people who are gonna leave it too late. That's the real fertility cliff. When you just keep going, there is a part where your body cannot repair the damage. So you have to know, am I there or am I not?